Okay, so today we're going to really dive deep into something super important in Islam.
Okay.
It's all about honoring promises. And we're going way beyond just the surface level stuff.
Right.
We all know keeping promises is good, but this is about why it's so powerful and unique in Islam.
Yeah.
And we've got this presentation that really breaks down how impacts our everyday lives too.
Absolutely. And it's fascinating because the source material really goes into this almost sacred importance of keeping your word in Islamic ethics.
Yeah, and that's where this idea of amana comes in, right? It's often translated as just trust,
Right.
but it feels like it's way more than that.
Oh, you're totally right. The presentation makes this really cool distinction.
Okay,
Amana isn't just about trusting someone. It's about being trustworthy yourself.
I see.
It's about being dependable, safeguarding things, and even the idea that what you say reflects your faith.
Wow.
It's like a spiritual thing, your commitment shows your relationship with God.
That's pretty powerful. And you see that idea all through the Quran, like in Surah Al-Baqarah.
Yeah.
It talks about how being righteous is tied to keeping your promises. And then in Surah Al-Azra, it's all about what happens if you break those promises.
Right, there are consequences.
Yeah, it's serious accountability. Not just to the person you made the promise to, but on a much bigger scale.
Exactly. Our words matter to God. And there's this hadith, a saying of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, that really stuck with me. It says, when a man tells something and he intends it to be a trust, then it is a trust. It's even little things, if you meant them as a commitment, they have that same amana weight.
That's a really good point. It makes you think about even small promises more seriously. So, okay, let's talk about how this works practically.
Sure.
The presentation has some advice on handling promises in our daily lives.
Yeah.
It says to be clear about what you mean when you make a promise and to prioritize your commitments. Which seems simple, but I can see how you could get overwhelmed easily.
Oh, absolutely. And it stresses that if you can't keep a promise, be honest and talk about it.
Right.
It's not about finding loopholes. It's about realizing how your actions affect people and owning up to them. Explain what happened, ask for forgiveness, and try to fix things if you can.
Now, someone might be thinking, but what if keeping a promise would cause harm or be unjust?
Right.
And the source actually talks about that too.
It does. It says that what's going on around you matters.
So it's not always black and white.
Exactly. You have to use wisdom and make ethical decisions.
Right.
Blindly sticking to a promise when it could hurt someone goes against the whole point of acting ethically.
And it's really interesting how the presentation then shows how these Islamic principles relate to our daily lives. It talks about making relationships with family and friends stronger, building trust at work, even creating a better society.
Exactly. It shows that honoring promises isn't just some religious idea. It's part of living a fair and peaceful life no matter who you are.
Yeah.
Thinking about your own life, how does this all make you feel?
It makes me think about the effects of the promises I make, big or small. It's like a reminder to be more careful and thoughtful about my words.
Definitely. And if we look at the bigger picture, we see that consistently keeping your promises builds trust, makes people respect you, and shows you're someone they can count on.
Yeah.
It becomes that real-life reflection of your faith and values that we were talking about.
Like a ripple effect, starting with one promise and spreading out.
Exactly.
So to wrap it up, honoring promises in Islam is really about amana trustworthiness that shows your faith.
Yeah.
It's about understanding that what we say matters, putting our commitments first, and doing the right thing even when it's hard.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah, here's something to think about. How can we use this idea of honoring promises to connect with people who are different from us and create more understanding in a world that's so diverse?
That's a good one.
What promises are most important to you? That's something to think about. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, and we'll see you next time.